All right, here's problem 6-9B. Shiraz Rugs began operations on February 1st. It uses perpetual inventory system. During February, the company had the following purchases and sales. There they all listed for us. Determine the ending inventory under a perpetual inventory system. Using 1, first in, first out, 2, moving average, round the units to 3 decimal places, unit cost to 3 decimal places, and 3, last in, first out. And then which costing method produces the highest ending inventory valuation. All right. So we can see that they are in a period of rising costs. So before we even start, we could tell you which one's going to give us the highest ending inventory, right? Because I've already discussed that concept. And that's going to be first in, first out. Because under first in, first out, we'll assume we're selling the earlier units, meaning our ending inventory has the later units which have the higher cost. So we can figure out number 2 before we even start. Nonetheless, let's see if we can prove that now by working this out. So determine our ending inventory under first in, first out. Here's what we're going to do. So on February 1st, we purchased 12 units. So I'm going to say 12 at $150. Or a total of $1,800, which will give us a balance of 12 units at $150 a piece, which is $1,800. On February 6th, we sold 9 units. So we'll record 9 at $150. And we'll have a balance then. If we had 12 and we sold 9, we'll have 3 units at a cost of $150 a piece. Whoops. Just start that cell with an equals to tell Excel I'm doing a function or a formula there. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do first in, first out or anything else when we only have inventory that we paid one price for, right? But now we're going to make it more complicated. So on the 11th of February, we purchased 8 more units at a price of $168 a piece. Or $1,344. So now our balance is going to include 3 units that we paid $150 for and 8 units that we paid $168 for. If we want, we can even do a little subtotal here. So as of February 11th, our balance is $1,794. On February 14th, we sold 5 units. So now we've got to figure out which units we sold. Remember, we have 3 units that we paid $150 for and 8 that we paid $168 for. So if this is first in, first out, we'll assume that we sold the oldest units first. This might also make this a little easier to look at if we kind of separate out each day. So on February 5th, then, if we sold 5 units, we're going to assume that we sold 3 that had a cost of $150. That's all of them that we have at $150, plus 2 more that had a cost of $168. So our total cost of goods sold for that sale, $786. And then our balance, we no longer have any units that we paid $150 for, so we're going to have our remaining 6 units that we paid $168 for. There's as of February 14th. February 21st, we had a purchase, 6 units that we paid $182 for. Or $1,092. So our new balance now is going to be 6 units that we paid $168 for, plus 6 units we paid $182 for. So our total balance then at the end of February 21st is $2,100. And finally, February 27th, we had another sale of 4 units. We're going to assume those are the first or the oldest units, so we sold 4 units at $168. And then our balance will be 2 units at $168 and 6 units at $182. And we'll have a total. All right, so that is the ending inventory would be 1428, and that's what they want us to find out. So that's under first in, first out. So next we'll do it for the average, or the moving average. So we'll kind of go through the same process here. So let's see, we'll start with February 1st, and then we're going to make a purchase, 12 at $150. That's going to equal 12 times 150, or $1,800. And our balance will be 12 at 150. Then on February 6th, we're going to make a sale of 9. And again, that'll be at 150. So right now our average cost is 150 because, well, we don't have any other units. So this will equal 9 times 150. And our balance, if we had 12 and we sold 9, our balance will be 3. Again, this might be clearer if I separate out each transaction. All right. So on the 11th, they purchased 8 more units at 168. Just 8 at 168. That's 1344. But this is where it gets a little different. So now I'm going to take the total, I'm going to figure out my total cost, which I know is $450 plus the $1344 that I just purchased. And I'll add those up. So I know that I have a total cost of $1794. I also know that I have a total of 11 units. Right? I had 3, and then I purchased 8 more. So to find my average cost, I'm going to say this equals $17.94 divided by 11. And that's going to give me my average cost per unit. So I'm going to say I have 11 units at an average cost of $163.091. Then, on the 14th of February, I sold 5 units at 163.091. This is why I have to figure out the average. My balance, if I sold 5, is going to be 6 units at 163.091, which will equal here I'll do 5 times the 163.091. All right, on the 21st of February, I'm going to purchase 6 more units at 182. That's a total cost of $1,092. Then, to figure out my new average cost, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say I had $979 plus the $1,092. It's going to give me a total of $2,071. I know that I had 5 units. I'm sorry, that I had 6 units before. I've added 6 more, so I now have 12 units. So to find the average, I'm going to take my total cost divided by my 12 units. Make sure I have enough decimals here. And it's 172.583. So now, on the 27th of February, when I have another sale, I'm going to sell how many units? 6 units? No, 4 units at 172.583. So I've got to find a new average each time. And then my remaining 6 units, I'm sorry, 4. That's what I sold 4. So my 8 units will be at 172.583. That should be an @ sign. And that will equal 8 times 172.583. So there's my ending balance. As you can see, that's a little more complicated, but that's how we have to do it if we're doing an average, is each time we buy more inventory, we've got to create a new average, a new running average when we're using this perpetual inventory system. Remember, a perpetual inventory system updates with each transaction. That's why we have to calculate a new average each time we purchase and use that average each time we make a sale. All right, so let's take a look at the last one, last in, first out. So on 1 February, they purchased 12 units at 150. That's going to equal 12 times 150, or $1,800. And the balance will be 12 at 150 which will be $1,800. Then on the 6th of February, they sell 9 units. It's last in, first out, but all we have right now are units that cost us $150, so it doesn't really matter which method we're using when we only have the units that have a single cost, 9 times 150. That's going to leave us with 3 units that each cost $150, which would be $450 remaining in our inventory. So this is last in, first out, remember. All right, on the 11th of February, they made a purchase of 8 units at $168. So far this is looking a lot like first in, first out, right? So now our new balance will be 3 at $150 and 8 at $168. Total it up. Now we'll finally get to think in terms of last in, first out with the 14 February sales transaction. On 14 February, we sold 5 units. So 5 units. And the question is, which units did we sell? And since this is last in, first out, we're assuming that we sold the last units we purchased, which would be the ones that cost us $168. Oops. And then we'll assume the ones that are remaining will be the 3 that we paid $150 for, and 3 more that we paid $168 for. On the 21st, we purchased 6 more at $182. And now in our remaining inventory, we have 3 at $150. We have 3 at $168. And we have 6 at $182. And then that total will be our total inventory at 21 February. Finally, on the 27th of February, we sell 4 units. And again, which one are we selling? Well, we're assuming we're selling the newest one, so the 182s. And our remaining inventory is then going to be 3 units at $150, 3 units at $168, and 2 units at $182. And there is our ending inventory figure. And that's it. Like I said, the last question, which costing method produces the higher ending inventory valuation? Well, we can look. So there's first in, first out. Gives us an ending inventory of 1428. The average will give us an ending inventory of 1381. And last in, first out will give us an ending inventory of 1318. So as we guessed in the beginning, last in, first out would give us the highest ending inventory because we're in a period of rising costs, and so the units that we still haven't sold are our most expensive units. And that is the end of 6-9.